Hi guys, this is Arabella. I hope you're living your best life whenever this video finds you. Today I'm going to talk about my most famous my blog post that has gone the most viral. Ironically, this post was my very first one that I've ever done, ever. It was the first one that I posted on my blog, which I will have linked down below, of course. And it is on how to write pain. So it's a little different, but people really loved it. There were a few people who wanted to try to steal what I got, you know how that goes, but yeah, they don't have my flair. They couldn't do it anyway. I'm just messing around. But this is a really unique topic for writers. So I don't even know how I came up with this one. I was like cruising Reddit one day looking for stuff to write about on my blog, and it kind of hit me that, like, how do you write pain? Typically when I hear pain written about, it feels like there's a huge disconnect. So I am here to tell you how to write pain effectively. So, number one, you really have to identify what pain is. Now, I know we all know what it feels like to stub our goddamn toe on the coffee table. So we are talking about physical pain here. But the thing about pain that we don't think about consciously is that it's not in the body even when it is. So we as human beings do experience pain locally where the pain is at. Let's say if you break your leg or your toe or whatever, you're like, oh my god, my leg hurts, it's there. But it's experienced up here. We feel it here. We suffer here. It is totally a brain phenomenon. Even though we're like, it's here, it's still here. It's really in the mind, and it's an emotional, mental game. Sometimes even more so than it is a physical thing. It could be limiting, but we suffer mentally in our brains. Chronic pain is also an interesting side note to this. So as someone who does suffer from chronic pain, it is 100% more of a mental toll than it is a physical toll. Like, I feel, especially in the beginning, it held me back way more mentally. Like, just coming to terms with that alone is a huge struggle. So it's something that you have to realize when you're writing pain, is that you can't just be like, oh, her leg hurts and throbs as it's being stabbed relentlessly. it's just not gonna work. You know, this chronic pain leads often to depression, anxiety, substance abuse issues. It's a whole thing. I recommend, if you are writing a character that has chronic pain, to do a lot of research on the effects of chronic pain. But for this blog, we're just talking about, like, just writing physical pain in general, okay? So, because it's more of an emotional, mental thing, typically you hear, or when you're reading someone write about pain, they talk about the searing of the pain, or how it burns, or how it throbs. Don't do that. Okay? Don't do that. It's not gonna work. Like, it's just, the audience will not connect with that. So the way I described it in my blog is that you have to link the pain with something emotional. Why does it matter that, let's say for example, you have a character that gets stabbed in the leg and she falls, and she's in a big fight or something, and she needs to do her objective. She needs to conquer her objective to get to the next point. Okay, so let's say that's our example, and she gets stabbed in the leg. And so instead of being like, oh, the knife wound bled so fiercely and it hurt so bad. You need to put in something like, man, like, are you, like, how could she have gotten bested so easily? Oh my god, what about all these consequences of her not getting to this thing that she has to get to? She's angry, her cheeks are as red as cherries because she's ashamed that this person she's fighting actually stabbed her. Like, there's all this emotion going on along with the physical side of the pain too. So that will really help immerse your readers into the character experience of the pain that they're feeling, versus just describing the pain with adjectives. So do that for more of the smaller injuries, right? If you're in a sword fight, you know, it's good for that type of thing. But if you are going to give any character a big injury, that injury, like everything else in writing, has to have a purpose to it. So I'm going to give you an example. In The Fault of Our Stars, ooh, it's John Green that wrote that? Ooh, if that's not him, roast me in the comments. I'm pretty sure it's John Green. Anyway, so he used the pain of cancer really effectively because everybody knows that cancer is really painful, and it is. And the book and the movie, it's all about cancer, but it just shows how that is so emotionally fucking painful, not only for the girl who has it, not only for her boyfriend who has it, but the families and all of it. It's just so fucking awful emotionally and mentally. And that's what I mean by, if you're gonna do something like this to one of your characters, you really need it to mean something. It really has to be there in the plot, in the character. Like, why does this injury happening to this character affect the plot so bad? If you're just throwing in a fucking knife wound or losing an arm for fucking shock value, your audience is gonna see it, and it's disingenuous and it's cheap, and I wouldn't do it if I were you, okay? I just wouldn't do it. It happens all the time, and it drives me absolutely crazy. Connect the pain to an emotional response in the character. Golden babe. Alright, what do I have next here? Gotta read my notes. My notes are too long. I need shorter notes. Oh, yes. Not everyone experiences pain the same way, even if they have the same injury. So, and someone got really pissed off at me on my blog when I mentioned this, but it's not to hurt anybody's feelings or to make anybody feel bad. But when you look, let's say 2 people break their arms. One person is like we're talking about them emotionally. Outer shells have nothing to do with how people handle pain. Number 1. But let's say we have someone who has had a lot of like physical injuries and emotional pain in their life, and they just have a higher pain tolerance. And then you have someone over here who's like very sheltered and maybe naive, and they've got a couple of bumps and bruises along the way, but they've never really had any experience with being hurt. Okay, these 2 people are going to experience pain very differently, just based kind of on their life experiences, their things that have happened to them, emotional, physical trauma, all of that. No one will experience pain the same way. The person over here might be like, yeah, that's a 6 out of 10. And then the person over here is like screaming, like, oh my God, it's a 10, you know? And my sister's calling right in the middle of a video. Thanks, sissy. But yeah, so you need to remember this when you're writing your characters experiencing pain and stuff, because depending on how you've developed them, it's gonna determine how they react to pain. You know, do they have the emotional tolerance of a teaspoon, or are they like really, you know, emotionally there and they're able to deal with something that's really serious and fucked up? Like, it makes a difference, and you better make that stuff match, because maybe your reader won't think of it consciously, but it's a good thing to keep in mind. So knowing your characters really well is super important. And so I really think that's it on my notes. Really, the thing about this that's my biggest takeaway is the emotional hook to it. Like, the blog describes it sentence by sentence detail, so I really recommend that you check it out. It's still blowing up to this day, and it's a different thing to think about when you're considering writing advice, but it's important, especially if you write, you know, a lot of combat scenes or fantasy or sci-fi, and it really doesn't matter. Like, John Green in A Fault in Our Stars is the example for this, and that's why a contemporary. So, I mean, we all experience pain universally together as human beings, but yet it's so fucking hard to describe. And that's what's so interesting about it, is that we all feel it on some level given the spectrum, but yet describing it in the written word is incredibly difficult. And I believe it's because that emotional response is typically left out, whether it be a big deal or not a big deal. Regardless, we need to tie it in emotionally, because we all can resonate with those emotions. We've all pretty much felt collectively what it's like to feel shame, to feel embarrassed, to feel that you let your friends down, to feel that you fucked up just on a massive level, that you're not good enough. And that's really the key. So if you take anything from this, it's that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Please check out the blog and my other videos that I'm currently making. It's a learning experience, but definitely join the army, subscribe, like, share, and I appreciate you guys. Let me know what you want to hear from me next, and I'll work on it. All right, guys, thanks. Have a good one. Bye.